Hey, let's talk about how to identify different varieties of pears based on subtle differences in their leaves. Come join me in the chaos.
In the chaos where the food forest thrives, in the joy of growing, our hearts come alive, embracing the mess where nature takes control. Come join me in the chaos, let the bounty unfold.
All right, so this is a multi-variety pear tree that I made. And I'm gonna show you on here, I have two different varieties of pears. The rootstock is Bradford. And on this Bradford rootstock, I have two different varieties of well-known grocery store style pears. And so if you grow these varieties, you might spot the difference right away. But honestly, I didn't really notice this difference until this year. You know, these things have been growing for a couple years now, second year, and I didn't even notice that the leaves are different, like very different. At first glance, you know, they have the same shape. The app on your phone is gonna say they're pears. But I feel like the human eye is much better at just spotting the subtle differences in the two leaves. So the one I have here on the right, this really smooth leaf, this is an Asian pear, giant Asian pear. And this is kind of situational too, because if you look over here, these brand new fresh leaves, they have some other subtle color differences. As they're developing the different pigments, they'll start to bring in more chlorophyll, and so the chlorophyll makes them greener and greener. But anyway, that's an Asian pear. And you'll notice the leaf is a lot less wavy than this one here, which is your common Bartlett pear. Those are the pears you get when you have canned pears, or when you go to the grocery store and you just get normal pear-shaped pears. Like if you look at the meme on a, not the meme, the, what is it called, emoji? Like the emoji on a phone, if you do a pear, that very common pear-shaped pear, that's a Bartlett pear. And this is what the leaf of that common Bartlett pear looks like. And this is different than Bradford. This is a very common point of confusion for people, so don't feel bad if you've done this. Bradford is the really pretty flowered, the really pretty flowering pears you see everywhere. They're more ornamental and they smell funny. And in the springtime in the Midwest, you'll see them just kind of everywhere in the landscapes. They produce lots of little tiny pears. I think they're amazing at rootstock because they grow so well. They're able to gather a lot of nutrients and act as a really good rootstock for hosting scions of, for example, Bartlett and Asian. And you can actually see differences in the bark, but it's very subtle. So I wouldn't rely on those subtle differences in the bark to identify them. But as you can see in this particular situation, the Bartlett has a different texture than the Asian pear. And the color of the Asian pear bark is a little bit darker. Here's a young little Asian pear starting to develop. Some over here as well. I don't have any pears on the Bartlett here. But anyway, let me show you what an Anjou pear looks like. I don't think this one has fruit on it. But anyway, this is an Anjou. It's very similar. It's like, it almost looks like the leaves are a cross between the Asian pear and the Bartlett. And they kind of like turn a little bit to the side. Let me show you this one. I think I actually have an Anjou pear. It has like some really pretty reds. Yeah, so here's another Anjou scion. And you'll notice the bark's a little bit lighter. A lot lighter. And then you have like a lot of those red tones in the pears on the Anjou, which makes it really obvious once you have fruit. But when you have these in your yard and you look at them every day, it's kind of like if you have kind of like my dogs. I have a bunch of Australian Shepherds. They're all the same color combination. A lot of people think they look identical, but when you look at them every day, you very easily can tell the difference between them. I guess parents that have twins, you probably know what I'm talking about. I can't tell the difference between people's twins, but I'm sure the parents can tell the difference. So one more time, because repetition's good. This is an Anjou pear. Look at the leaf real closely. A little bit wavy, and it kind of curves a little bit, and it kind of like droops to the side as well. Asian pear. I honestly think these leaves are the prettiest. Maybe because they're simple. I like simplicity, I guess. I don't know. They're just pretty. And then the Bartlett has like that very characteristic wave on the leaves. And there might be other varieties that resemble these three, but I think these are the most common pears if you were to go to a grocery store and buy pears. And so if you grow these, it's going to be a little bit easier to tell the difference. That's really useful to me because I'm always doing grafting and I'm always looking for source material. And now that these are getting bigger, I can use them for source material, but I want to make sure I know which one is which. Ooh, caterpillar damage. I don't know what caterpillar I'm hosting. I'm kind of weird and I don't mind caterpillars because, you know, butterflies are awesome. And I don't see the caterpillars, so robin might have got it. I have robins that love picking caterpillars out of my trees. So they don't really last very long, unfortunately. I guess maybe it's a good thing too, I don't know. Anyway, hope that helps you to identify the difference between these different types of pears. The Asian, the Bartlett, and the Anjou like I showed you over there. Okay, I wanted to point this out last of all. I was kind of scouring my yard for a Bradford pear because I've gone around grafting them all and so they kind of all disappeared. But I actually found one here below this tree. So this is what Bradford looks like. Very red stem. It's very obvious when it's popping up. But these are amazing rootstock. But I usually graft. I'll do a little whip and tongue graft with another variety of pear on the top. And I've just kind of, you know, when you discover a new hobby and you kind of go crazy with it and you get a little obsessed. So I've gotten a little obsessed with grafting. So I've been grafting the top off of all my little Bradfords that pop up everywhere. And I've been turning them into other pear trees. I'm thinking about selling them because I realize pear trees they're like $200 and they take like 2 seconds to graft. Well, not 2 seconds, maybe like a minute and a half, you know. It's just such an easy thing to graft and you can just sell these and make a lot of money. So little side hustle. But anyway, this is what they look like when they still have the leaves on them. So the fresh leaves, the stem, this is the notorious Bradford pear that I use as rootstock. Very aggressive tree, grows really fast. It's one of the reasons why the wood can be brittle because it grows so fast. But if you graft it, you get the really strong roots, really strong root system that's able to go out and grab lots of nutrients. And it's able to send all those nutrients to a scion that you graft into the top. And so you'll be able to get a lot of fruit and stuff since the rootstock is so good at just colonizing the soil and just pulling as much nutrients as it possibly can, which may or may not be what you want to do. But I want to make as many pears as possible. So I, in my opinion, think it's the best rootstock. So that's what the notorious Bradford pear looks like when it's first coming out of the ground. And again, this is an example of what it looks like when it first pops up in my lawn. So that's Bradford, that's the bad one that I think is a good one.